Very good afternoon and welcome to you all to Lancashire Innovation Festival. Lancashire Innovation Festival is an opportunity to showcase all the fantastic innovation that is taking place throughout the county of Lancashire. Throughout the month, we've got a number of panels, seminars, workshops, and networking sessions for everyone to join in with. You can find a full list at lancashireinnovationfestival.co.uk. Thanks for those of you that are tuning into this conversation. We hope you'll join us by contributing using the chat box and telling us about how you're interested in innovation and potentially in supporting young people on their innovation journey today. If you've got any questions that you'd like to ask the panel, please use the Q&A box to address any questions, and we will get to those throughout or towards the end of the session. In a moment, I'm going to hand you over to the panel. In the meantime, if you would like to continue as well to join in the conversation on Twitter, you can do so by following the hashtag LANIF2020. I'm really pleased to be able today to pass over to Kerry Harrison from the Lancashire Digital Skills Partnership, and a big congratulations to Kerry and her team on last week winning the Digital Skills and Inclusion Initiative of the Year Award through Digital Leaders. So without any further ado, I shall pass over to Kerry and the panel. Thanks, Kerry.
Thank you very much, and thanks for that appreciation of our win. It was an amazing week last week, and I think I'm still grinning from that. So welcome to today's session on how to create a pipeline of innovation, future-proofing our long-term innovation plans. I'm Kerry Harrison and I lead the Lancashire Digital Skills Partnership, which sits within the Lancashire Skills Hub of the Lancashire Enterprise Partnership. Our whole sort of remit is around bringing together public, private, charity sector organisations to address digital skills and issues in Lancashire, and to support our young people, to support our adults, our businesses, and everybody resident in Lancashire to improve their digital skills or access digital means. And so today I'm really excited to chair this conversation, and I'm going to let the panel introduce themselves because they're experts on themselves more than I am. So we can get a feel for who is going to be contributing to this conversation today. Simon, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Simon Charnock. I'm Digital Transformation Officer at Chorley Council. So I work on digital skills and inclusion projects as well as digital transformation projects. Some of the digital skills projects that I've worked on do include young people. So thank you for having me involved in the conversation today.
Brilliant. Thank you. Kate?
Hi, thank you very much. Good to speak to you, Kerry. My name's Kate Houlden. I'm the Managing Director of Light Technologies based in Lancaster. We deal with control systems from an IT perspective and also from electronic engineering perspective. And I also have another hat in terms of Light Technologies is also part of the Tech Lancaster consortium promoting electronics in the area.
Brilliant, thanks Kate. And Julia?
Good afternoon, Kerry. So my name is Julia Sutcliffe. I'm the Chief Technologist for the air sector at BAE Systems. And as you know, in terms of our sophisticated defence, aerospace and security products, the digital agenda and the digital environment is really, really important to us as we go forward.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for joining us all here today and bringing your expertise. In terms of our discussion, I'm going to look at and think about innovation in terms of new thinking and new ideas, and about how we can encourage young people to do this and not to just accept the norm, and to challenge and to question the status quo, and to look for ways to improve existing processes or technologies or ways of working. And I know we could debate innovation for quite some time, but just to have that kind of thought pattern in our head as we move through, and maybe we can debate that as we move through as well. Just to start us off then, and it'd be great to hear what your organisations do presently that promotes innovation and innovative thinking in young people. Julia, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, thank you, Kerry. That's a super question. So as you know, that we do a lot of work with the apprentices, graduates and the early careers people that we bring into our business. Some of that, so locally, is through the Academy for Skills and Knowledge in Samlesbury. We have a really active programme there of work with the apprentices to bring them into the business, provide them with the appropriate skills and capabilities. And increasingly, we're seeing that sort of spread into the digital agenda. And actually, not just the young people, but people within the workforce, how we upskill everybody in this new normal as we're in this sort of fourth industrial revolution. In terms of the encouragement to be innovative and think outside the box, it's absolutely critical that we harness that capability and we create that really inclusive environment and ethos. And so the D&I agenda is a really, really important part of that for us, and creating those flexible environments and that sort of creative thinking environment in which people can challenge the status quo, challenge the norms, see a new way of doing things. And with things like the Tempest programme, the Next Generation JET programme, we've seen a massive uptake from young people, because that's a key galvanising sort of national programme. And so the appetite and the opportunity for innovation and creative thinking there is really, it's wonderful to see it happen.
Brilliant, thank you. Lots of good stuff happening there. It's interesting, I entirely agree with the diversity and inclusion agenda, and about getting a real mixed group of people in a room to really challenge the status quo, challenge different ideas, and people from different perspectives come with different ideas, and that gelling together. There's a really good author called David Epstein who does a book on generalists and talks about the more narrow people get in their views, whether that group, the more less likely they are to solve problems, and the bigger the sort of the pool of people you're dealing with, the better. And I just think that is so true. Thank you. Simon, what about yourself?
Yeah, so at Chorley Council, back in March last year, we ran a hack event, which was a coding event aimed at young people. It was years 5, 6, 7 and 8, so 9 to 13-year-olds. So we had over 100 young people attend the town hall for a fun day of coding to encourage creativity, teamworking, innovation. And we had lots of employers, local digital employers who attended, and STEM ambassadors that attended to support the young people on the day. And I think that was very beneficial, because it's not just young people sat coding, they had a real interaction with the employers, and they acted as mentors. They could ask them about the job role, what they did, and they could really relate to what they were doing and how they could apply that in the future for future job opportunities as well. And there's so much job opportunities within digital sector. I don't think young people quite realise it at the minute. So it was really useful for them to understand all the opportunities that are available from that event. The feedback we had was really positive from both the young people, the schools and the employers. And from the event as well, I believe some employers have continued to interact with the school and have formed a relationship moving forward, where they also provide further education to the young people, further interaction with them as well. Moving
what was
forward.
the task that they had to do whilst they were there?
So they only had a day. It was 9 till 4, so they didn't have long at all, really. The task was to create a game animation that could educate other young people about cybersecurity, cyberbullying and social media safety as well. And they had workshops on the day, so we had some 3D printers on show and on display that they could use, and we had online safety chats and things like that. We had various employers, the NHS were involved, DXC Technology, which is a local employer in Chorley. What they produced was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it, and the employers said exactly the same. For the short amount of time they had, it really was unbelievable.
Yeah, brilliant. That's fantastic. Kate, what about yourself?
I think from my business's point of view, we're a small business. We're locally based in Lancaster, and our age range of employees is quite wide, from school leavers to people that have already retired and like to do a bit of part-time work and everything in between. And from young people's perspective, we take people that are school leavers, we take graduates, we take apprentices. And I think for young people in any business, but particularly in small businesses, what we try and, a bit like Julia was saying, what we try and do is to instill this sort of culture of building self-confidence, because the more we can build self-confidence in young people, the more that we can have a don't worry about failing, or don't feel that you're going to be judged because you've not necessarily done it the best, or as somebody that sort of 20 years older than you that's been doing it for years can do it. Don't worry, it's fine. And I think that what that brings to us is quite an open culture, and we then start seeing that innovation just naturally bubbles up out of places that you wouldn't necessarily expect to see, or you didn't necessarily foresee coming out of that person or that team of people. So I think that confidence building and that environment for confidence building is a massive piece of what we do. But also from a technical perspective, the type of work that we do is based quite heavily on first principles from a technical perspective, particularly in our control systems and electronics. And so we have to take all our technicians, engineers back to first principles, back to fundamentals, and say, do you truly understand it? So sometimes we find we have experienced engineers that will come in and have worked in the industry for a long time, and actually are being supported and mentored maybe by somebody that is working for us that's attending college one day a week. And that's quite an interesting dynamic. For the young person, it's really developmental for them. For the experienced engineer or technician, it's quite challenging. And but it really does create an open, non-judgmental environment.
Sounds fabulous. So I think we're starting to form some good ideas there about what that kind of pipeline needs to be and how we can future-proof it. Out of all the things that you do, and you might have answered some of this already, what do you think the most impactful thing is? What do you think gets the best response from young people in terms of developing them? I don't know, Kate, do you want to keep going on that idea? How do you build confidence, maybe?
I think that the area of particularly in our electronics, we build confidence by having this culture of being able to shout out and say, I don't actually agree with you. And that's got to be, we have to work with every single person. It's not just working with young people, it's working with all of our employees to say, hang on a minute, you might think you have the right idea, but let's just give this person, this team, a chance to just put their ideas forward. And I think that is the bit that we're good at. We're good at putting teams together. We're good at standing back a little bit and saying, are we actually right? Have we got the right answer? Maybe we have, but could there be a better way of doing it? I have apprentices that have come in and looked at things very, very early on, age maybe 18. I have one apprentice that's now still with us and carried on, and he came in straight away and said, why do you do it like that? And it wasn't from his background. He wasn't a high achiever at school. It was from his logic. He just couldn't see why a process was being done in a certain way. We changed all our processes. We made him look at all our processes.
Brilliant. Julie, what do you think that BAE does that's the sort of the focal point that makes the most impact?
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, and what Kate said there was lovely, and indeed that reverse mentoring concept is what we sort of call it, is really, really valuable. I think one of the things that we try to instill is that sort of a culture of sort of openness, but also that kind of fail fast. A part of, you know, ruling out solutions and options is part of the creative process. And so being able to do that quickly and in an open way is part of the culture that we want to instill. And actually, in terms of the skills that sort of enable that and that sort of diversity of thought, you need a range of people with not just the STEM skills, but you also need that sort of the creative thinking, people that can negotiate, people that can be flexible, people that might see things from a service perspective and not necessarily from a core product perspective. And if you can create environments where you've got that spectrum of perspectives and working styles, if you like, then that usually, well, that's going to give you the best possible option around exploring some of those corner cases and then allowing you to sort of say, well, why do we do it like that? Don't understand that. There's a better way over here that no one's thought of.
Definitely. And Simon, what do you think from the events and the things that you've run that's really made the most impact?
Yeah, I think because the event, I'm referring to the hack event again, it was such a young age that I attended. I think it's important to get people involved at that early age to get the interest initially. There was one school that reported afterwards that they had a student who attended who didn't really engage in much at school, was very quiet, didn't really speak to anybody, kept himself to himself. But on the day of the event, he really came out of his shell. They'd never seen him like that before. He was really engaged. He basically was the team leader on the day, and he was amazed by that. He was taken aback, and I think that lasting impact it's had just on that one individual that I heard about. I think that's a main takeaway for the event for me, really. Taking it back to school, and it's that one day has just changed his whole experience, and it's just got him interested in that sector straight away. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I think, the moments like that are why we do it. Those penny dropping, sort of opening the box kind of moments where people go out and go, I get it now, or I understand, or absolutely really important. Couldn't agree more with the age thing as well. Starting young is so important to challenge stereotypes and challenge understanding and to get in there before they've made any sort of firm decisions. So absolutely agree with that. I've got a nice little top 10 list forming here, I think, for innovation things. I'm getting quite excited. What new things do you think we need to do? So all that kind of stuff that we've discussed so far, what are we missing? Why are we not getting more innovative young people coming through? How can we funnel more people through our education system and into this kind of thinking? Where do we think the blockers are? What do we need to do to undo that? Kate, I came to Kate last time. It's Julia, would you like to start us off with that? Where are our blockers?
Okay, well, I suppose one of the things that springs to mind is the language that we use, potentially. So I know the Royal Academy is doing a lot of work around this. And if I took, for example, the This Is Engineering campaign. So the language we use to describe innovation, we talk about STEM subjects, but actually it's beyond just STEM subjects. We need that sort of wider skill set to be involved. And I think how we describe it, and if we constrain ourselves in a language that is very traditional disciplines, then we tend to sort of narrow the funnel too early. So one of the things that I think we can do is just think about how we describe it better and how we point to some of the role models in engineering, because for young people, but also for teachers and people that influence people at an early stage in your own journey, it's important to be able to kind of thread your way through and see what opportunities could arise and not discount things at an early stage because the language isn't familiar.
No, yeah, that sounds absolutely something that could be a blocker on a number of things, the terminology that people use, and different businesses using different language for different things, but all the same things. There's quite a lot of job titles out there. I mean, who knows what a UX designer does, or a full stack developer, until someone's explained that to you. What do they actually mean? Simon, we'll come to you next. What do you think are the blockers that we need to have a go at removing?
So yeah, it's funny that you should mention the UX designer, because that's what I'm kind of going to touch on. I think there's a bit of a stigma again amongst young people that technology and innovation and digital roles are basically people who do coding and potentially just fix things, but that's really not what it is, and not what the future is looking like. I think we really need to educate them more on what the opportunities are. So UX designer, I don't think young people would associate that as innovative, but yeah, it is. Same with all the new technology that's coming along with the drones, everything like that, the virtual reality, and it's how they can apply that in the future as well. So I think we really need to educate more on what the kind of possibilities are. And I think, again, I said before, interaction with employers, I think it's important for them to show how they are using new technology and how it fits within their business.
And I think across sectors as well, isn't it? It's not just a lot of this technology. It's not just our technical sector and that's it. It's across all sectors. 2/3 of the Lancashire's workforce, digital workforce, works in other sectors other than the digital sector. So it's about understanding that as a wider concept, I think, as well. Brilliant, thank you, Kate. What do you think are our blockers?
Well, I agree with Julia and Simon on what they've said in terms of, I think that language is a huge blocker, and from a Tech Lancaster point of view, we're very much we're 6 companies, small companies in Lancaster, that are trying to put together, got funding and are trying to put together some fundamental courses on electronics, and trying to get the name of electronics out there of a career and an area that people should be looking at, because it's an area that's been sort of forgotten. We sort of talk about digital and software and coding, and we have all this language that people don't necessarily all understand, including ourselves, I think, half the time, and then we miss pieces out that actually people might be interested in. I think also we cherry pick. You know, I think we naturally, in education, in our lives at a younger age, we cherry pick the people that we think are creative and are innovative, and we say, oh, you'd be good at this, you're creative, go off and do this. And actually, we are all innovative, we are all creative, we just need the environment to be creative and innovative in. And it might be all at different levels, it might be different output. That apprentice coming into me is very creative in the way that he has dealt with things in my business, and has changed parts of my business dramatically just by thinking differently. And I think that people in the past would have thought about him, he's not creative, he's not innovative, the digital sector, the electronic, the engineering sector would not be a place for him. Well, that's not necessarily true.
Yeah, I think people can get pigeonholed far too quickly, and that can be a problem. I'm going to jump to a question actually that's been asked, because it kind of fits within there, is what would you say, or how would you encourage a business to engage or encourage the next generation collaboration, particularly if they don't see the value initially? How would you put that across to others then? How would you, that next generation collaboration, how would you sell that to another business owner? Julia, do you want to jump in?
Sure. I'm not sure I'm answering the question in the right way. I suppose what I was thinking as you read it out there, Kerry, was that we need to, businesses today, we need to act as that sort of cohesive, collaborative ecosystem. So we need to talk the talk and walk the walk, really. If we want people to join us and be collaborative, then we need to demonstrate that that's what we are in the first place. So I think how businesses, large and small, education environments, large and small, work together as a sort of a cohesive ecosystem that talks about that sort of collaborative environment, has the infrastructure that allows us to link training programs, link digital development environments, that kind of thing. I think we need to do that as a community.
Absolutely, lead the way. Set by example. Kate, how would you add anything to that?
No, I don't. I absolutely agree with Julia. I think that we do need to look at ourselves and what we're doing and lead the way in the way that we do our business and the way that we take young people forward.
Absolutely. If you were a young person in Lancashire and you were full of ideas, or you wanted to develop something or take something forward, or in fact you were a parent of a young person who seems quite creative and coming up with lots of ideas and is either very entrepreneurial or just has a go at trying to make stuff all the time, what would you advise those parents? How would you take them forward in terms of nurturing that, really, and taking it forward? Or if you're a young person making your ideas happen, how would you help them? Kate, would you like to start us off?
I think that don't accept the only avenue that is staring you in the face, or that is being shown to you by the world around you. We have a very structured way of, and it's getting better, but we have a very structured way of sending people into the world, whether that's via an apprenticeship or whether it's via university or a combination of both of those things. But we have a very structured way of looking at these things as educators, I think, and maybe as parents, we have a very structured way. And I think we need to open our minds a little bit and think, actually, is there something else that they could do? Would they be better in a big company? Would they be better in a small company? Should they try both and see what's actually of benefit to them and what they like and how they work? And so I think it's looking at those sorts of things would be very helpful to get somebody onto the next track.
So probably going a little bit beyond that kind of do GCSEs, do your A-levels, go to university, get a job at a big company and take it on from there, as opposed to think about the other options and the amazing amount of SMEs we have in Lancashire to actually develop those skills further.
Yeah, and I think, just to add to that, I've had an A-level student turn up at the door of my company a few years ago with his sixth form project and say, I'm really interested in this, and I've been doing this sort of stuff of building and solving problems, Meccano and all these sorts of things ever since I can remember, and I just want to be able to do it forever. What should I do? And he has been to university. He's worked with us all the way through. We've funded it for him. He's now finished his degree. He's an engineer with us, and my customers love him, and so do I. But because he loves what he does, and he just sort of took that step and thought, I'll go knock on somebody's door.
Absolutely, good story. Simon, what do you think then? How would you attack that? Where would you point people in that direction? Which direction?
I agree with exactly what Kate said there. I think it's about getting out of your comfort zone, not thinking that there's only one path for you. It's not just finish school, go to college, go to university, get an apprentice, start a job. You don't have to take that path. Knocking on employers' doors, most definitely, I would encourage to do that. I think if you have an idea and you're willing to take risks, you're willing to see it through and focus on it, you never know what you could achieve. So I think that's important, to just really focus on something, and don't be put off by people telling you it'll never work, you can't do that. If you really put your mind to it, you will be able to do it. On another note, for young people or parents who want to encourage innovation for their children, I know Kerry is aware of this. There's the IDEA Award, which is the Inspiring Digital Enterprise Awards, which is an online tool what you can use, and there's lots of badges and tasks on there, including innovation, entrepreneurship as well is on there. So I think that's a real useful tool for young people as well, to encourage them if they do want to challenge themselves as well.
Brilliant. Julia, what about yourself? Where would you point people in a young person in the direction to meet their dreams in that way?
Well, so I agree with what Simon and Kate have said, really, in that, give things a try as early as you can, really. Don't close doors to yourself. There are lots of opportunities out there. And I guess the sort of industry 4.0, the sort of digital revolution that we're experiencing, I think you mentioned the point before, Kerry, this isn't niche. These skills are pervasive. They are cross-sector. They're in everything. So actually, don't constrain yourself by thinking you can't contribute to that, because you can. And because they are such cross-sector skills, actually the opportunity to take some learning and that moves with you in perhaps a more flexible career structure is something I think we'll see more of. Because I guess people's expectations about, a sort of multi-decade career for one organisation, that starts to give way to a much more dynamic, sort of flexible career pathway. So building skills in these areas is something that will last you well.
Absolutely. And sort of to build on that, another question we have actually in the chat is, what does the region have to offer to keep young innovators rather than risk losing them to Manchester or London? Does the region need more support to promote ideas? So that's thinking about how we think we'd point people in the right direction. And we've talked a lot about thinking of flexible careers and pathways and idea awards, and there is the maker spaces and all that kind of stuff. What do we have to offer as a region? That's a really good question. I like that. Who would like to start us off? Julie, would you like to jump in there? What do we have to offer as a region?
I think we are in a good position in that we have a rich pedigree in innovation within Lancashire. We've got a fantastic educational system, some really good universities in the environment. We have a really good spectrum of employers from large through to small. So I think one of the things that we can do as a sort of a broader ecosystem and with the LEP is to work through that sort of strategy for that new set of skills, how we ensure that we create those at the appropriate scale, and how we utilise those across, as I said before, that ecosystem. I think if I put my BAE hat on and I think about, large scale national programmes like Tempest, for example, large programmes like that galvanise, a huge environment around them. It's a massive job creator. It speaks to the sort of levelling up agenda that the government have, and creates a huge transformation within industries and within the supply chain. So I think working as a sort of an ecosystem around things like that is a way to, with those long-term programs, that flexible employment proposition, that sort of inclusivity, if we can encourage that, then I think as a region, I think think we're in a good place to do that with some of the programmes I can see from where I sit.
Okay, absolutely agree. Really, I think we need to build on what we've got and the programmes and really take that forward. Kate, what would you add to that?
I think that I would concur with that. I think it's also for the companies to shout out about what they've got. I don't think that we necessarily, particularly in terms of an SME community, we don't shout out about what we have available for people in this area. Which does take me on to Tech Lancaster in terms of 6 companies, myself who work in electronics in the power industry. We have a drone detection business. We have a GPS positioning business that works with the MOD. We've got we have a marine electronics business, and this is all in Lancaster. This isn't Lancashire. This is Lancaster, as well as manufacturing, as well as design and development. And they supply nationally and internationally, and they're all SMEs, and they're all in Lancaster. So what have we got in Lancashire? And I think it's for the employers and businesses to shout out, as well as the people like yourself, Kerry, of actually listening to what is out there. And I think between those 2 parties, we can then really show what we can offer in Lancashire and show to people what we can offer, that you don't need to go to Manchester. it is all here on your doorstep.
I couldn't agree more. I think Lancashire's really good at just quietly getting on with stuff. We're really good at it, or we're just going to keep going. And we absolutely need to shout more about it, and we completely need to surface all the amazing companies that are here. And it's easier sometimes when you've got a bigger company to at least understand a little bit of what they do, but to have all those SMEs that make up 90-odd% of our businesses, to actually shout about some of the amazing stuff they do. We as the Skills Hub are rolling out a careers platform across Lancashire, and it was originally in Blackpool, and lots of the filed companies have call them 3-minute hero videos. So I'm hoping that from this, maybe we can encourage a few more people to do 3-minute hero videos about, just get your phone, just hold it up and talk to you about your company, so that we can start putting that on a careers platform that young people are going to use to actually find out more about the companies that are in Lancashire, because they don't need to go anywhere. There is so much here. And we have, in the digital sector, we have such an aging workforce. Less than 1% is between the age of 18 and 25. So really need to show young people what's available. Simon, how would you what do you think is available in the region? What's missing? What's here? What's good?
I agree totally what everyone said there, really. I think it's embedded approach, again, getting it instilled early on so people are aware of what's about in Lancashire, shouting about it, as you've all said. I think Chorley recognised this as well a couple of years ago. I don't know if any of you have seen the digital office park building near Chorley Hospital that has been developed, which is for digital and creative businesses. It's about keeping the talented population within Chorley. Even though Chorley's got really good network links to Manchester, etc., we wanted to keep people within the borough, and we think that's a really good opportunity to do that. We've got lots of collaboration and lots of digital enterprises within the SMEs, single hot desks for people to use if they are sole traders or working on their own. But other than that, I agree with everything what you've said. It's about shouting about it. I like the idea of a whistle-stop tour of all the businesses in Lancashire and what they're doing, just to make everyone aware of it, really.
I mean, there is a lot, but I think surfacing just even some of them would give people an amazing understanding of the variety of things that are available in Lancashire, from you know, obviously we've got a thriving aerospace industry, but also, you know, there's a computer graphics company in on the Fylde coast that did all the computer animation for War of the Worlds for the BBC. We've got other companies, you know, it's just, there's such an array of talent in the county. We just need to make sure people are aware of it and that they could access amazing careers in a whole range of areas without actually travelling very far in there. Julia.
I was just going to add to that, Kerry, to say that I think someone mentioned it on the chat. You know, also in terms of Lancashire, you've got, you know, beautiful beaches, green spaces, etc. And one of the things that we have seen in the pandemic response is actually the movement to virtual working and the agility that the digital agenda actually provides all of us and provides our businesses is something that we probably couldn't have envisaged 6 months ago. So actually, you don't necessarily need to travel to the place of work, to the big metropolis. You can, the digital agenda enables a completely different approach to the workplace. So I think that's something to bear in mind as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it's an interesting, wasn't it, one in that I think where you work and live and that environment, and, you know, in Lancashire, we've got an amazing county with quite a variety of environments from, you know, hills or forests or the coastline. And it's a lovely place to live and generally day to day. And I think, you know, not only do we need to shout about the businesses, but we need to shout about the environment and the place that we live and how good that is for your well-being and your mental health. And yeah, through stuff like this, you know, that we never would have envisaged and people would have said would have been too hard weeks ago, is now absolutely doable. And, you know, you can choose to live in some amazing places and still work internationally. Absolutely. Within there. Fabulous. So sort of thinking and getting towards the end of our conversation, if we were to leave here today, what was the one action that you'd want everybody watching should take away to either do themselves or get their organisation to implement? What's that one sort of takeaway that people can say, I need to go away and I should do this? Simon, how would you like to start us off there?
So I think young people, they're the future. The future scientists, the future leaders, the future experts. So it's important that they're encouraged to progress in those type of careers. I've said before, and I might be repeating myself, but I think it's important businesses engage early. So for businesses, I would say the takeaway would be try and partner up with a local school or a couple of local schools. See if you can do some collaborative work together. Perhaps potentially do an innovation project with a group of students. I think that would be really beneficial. So yeah, I think that would be one takeaway for businesses.
I'm
anyway.
going to add to that, Simon. I absolutely agree with you. If they're wondering how to go about that, they can sign the Lancashire Skills Hub Skills Pledge, which is a central point that the Skills Hub actually manages to help coordinate that, whether you want to just give an hour, whether you want to do more than that, an enterprise advisor, and then we can link you with lots of different opportunities. So absolutely agree. Thanks for that, Simon. Kate?
I think if there's one thing that people should take away is to be curious and not critical. I think that opening our minds to young people and what they have to offer in all sorts of different ways, let's just sort of step back and say, actually, this might be interesting, rather than saying, no, we've done that before and it doesn't work, or no, I've got the best idea because I'm the oldest, or I'm the highest in the company, or whatever. Be curious, not critical.
Yeah, brilliant. I like that. Thank you. Julia, your takeaway then?
And I love both what Kate and Simon have said there. That's really nice. So I guess to add to that, I would just perhaps say the opportunity to just stand back and reflect and have a look at what things look like in your business. Are they really Are we really living the sort of dream that we talk about, that sort of inclusivity, etc.? Just take a moment to reflect on what you see in front of you and your own personal behaviours, I suppose. And then from a business perspective, I think that sort of ecosystem, that sort of long-term strategic position that we as an ecosystem can create is important and something that we could think about further.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. I think we've come up with some great things in that conversation. We've talked about diversity and inclusion. We've talked about building people's confidence and developing cultures with young people feeling that they can voice their opinions and have the ability to disagree with people of different ages and experience within them to keep that challenge. We've talked about mentorship and the idea of that being up and down in terms of experience, so up the sort of scale and down the scale, to really give young people opportunity to be innovative. I like that fail fast idea. If you're going to do it, let's have a try, see where we go within there. Embracing a full spectrum of skills and styles so that you bring people together into an environment and you can take advantage of all of them. To really look at the language that we use, to try and not use it, to avoid that being a blocker, to start young with this whole process within there, and to ensure that people have a greater understanding of careers, and try not to pigeonhole people too quickly into a set pathway. And more than anything else as well, I think, shout about what we can do in Lancashire and what is available in Lancashire. Brilliant. Thank you so much for your contributions today. You will notice in the chat, those people are following that Dan has put in a link to a Google form about innovation in Lancashire to get a bit more of your opinions on what is available and what you think about how good we are in Lancashire in terms of innovation. I also want to thank, there's quite a lot of other links in the chat of sort of ways in which you can support young people or take advantage of young people being and their innovation and innovation awards and other stuff. So brilliant. Thank you very much for those. I'll definitely be having a look myself. So thank you very much for your contribution today. Over to you, Dan.
Thank you, Kerry, and thanks to all the panel there, and just another great conversation that really showcases just how much is going on across Lancashire to support young people with innovation. So a big thank you to you all. And just a reminder to everybody, thanks for joining us. And again, looking over the next couple of days, we've got a session tonight, food innovation. And then tomorrow we're looking at the Clean Energy Technology Park, Blackpool and Springfield. And we've also got a Tools for Innovation workshop. So plenty more still to come. And in the meantime, once again, thanks for all for tuning in, and thanks for the panel for joining us. Thank you very much.
This October, you're invited to explore how you can harness innovation, consider new viewpoints and fresh ideas, and explore how learning, technology and innovation can come together. This brand new festival will champion some of Lancashire's latest innovations across 25 events, hosted by more than 50 speakers, including some of the county's innovation experts from higher education, health, clean technologies, and many more. You can see full schedule and register online for free at Lancashire Innovation.